I'm the internet dude screaming constantly about velocity growth. All I do here is tell CPG founders in 7,000 different ways how to optimize their businesses for the hardest thing to sustain in this crazy oversupplied US market, and that is steady velocity growth, month after month, year after year. Not 4-week spikes caused by excessive promotions. I'm talking about sustained month-over-month velocity growth based on strong product innovation, superb symbolism, high repeat purchasing fans, and an aggressive 4P playbook that does what incumbents refuse to do or politically cannot do. This is not easy, but it is also something you can iterate and achieve without it being a lightning strike phenomena. Hundreds of emerging brands have basically done it. That's why I wrote a book about it, and that's why I keep talking about it. But here's the scenario no one talks about. It's not in my book either. It's a story of superficial success rather than riding the skate ramp. And in this scenario, the visual metaphor is a staircase, not a quarter pipe ramp. Now you can ride your board on a staircase too, but you're really going to have to go down. Okay, the staircase top-line trajectory occurs when brand velocity remains stable as the business adds distribution. But velocity won't really grow in same stores, and it doesn't collapse either. I mean, it's not a bad result, but it's frustrating. Velocity just holds, or it grows in the single digits in this scenario. Not enough to really create that exponential bend in the curve. And this happens when a brand has good enough repeat purchase, but not an overly compelling innovation and most likely no word of mouth. It finds some tiny niche, but nobody's talking about it. Even the people who like it. It's just not super wow. Often I found that brands in this scenario, staircasing, are ones whose design is just not that electric, or it's chasing a not very consequential problem that a super tiny group of people think is important. Or it may simply be the fact that the brand requires a lot of modern edutainment to get, especially younger people, talking about it, interested in it. And I'm not talking about education of geeky details. Not the crap you hear at Expo West. I'm talking about edutainment and excitement in order to accelerate awareness of an otherwise weird thing and to accelerate trial. So staircase growth, it's not a death sentence. Look, there's a bunch of brands, a whole bunch that have gone to scale this way. I mean, just being able to go out to thousands of stores and hold velocities is actually a big achievement, folks. In fact, it's the primary objective of most line extensions launched by the market-leading brands at the public holding companies. Grab and hold. That's basically a success to them. But here's the thing. If you staircase your way to 9 figures by counting on stable velocities at new accounts, but not velocity growth, and you get those stable velocities at mass retailers as well, like Target and Walmart, you may think you don't even need consumer marketing to build your business or to keep it going. That depends what your long-term goals are. I'm telling you though, and eventually you will start hitting 80% or so of the max ACV distribution in your category. And when you do, your brand velocity ain't going to be stagnant no more because your productivity is going to go down as you get into the lousier and lousier accounts and stores. And it's going to start declining if you don't invest in consumer marketing. Now, this decline may be slow and steady, I'll be honest, so you may not freak out. But I'm just telling you, -5 to -10% annual velocity decline. It adds up, and it adds up quickly in terms of your top-line trajectory. But by the time that a brand like this tends to recognize the long-term trend is actually shit, it's down after years of climbing the staircase, it's too late. In most cases. And I did see one of these a few years ago up close because they hired me. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. You may have slowly accumulated decent awareness during this staircase climb because it took enough time, and honestly, your users are they'll show up on surveys pinging I'm aware of you, right? So you do get awareness build. It may actually be enough already to make paid marketing productive. But your awareness, if you go out and do measure it, you'll probably find that beyond the actual users, your current users in the last 30 or 90 days, you don't have much awareness, right? And that's a classic sign of staircasing your way to scale because you didn't invest in anything other than trade marketing, right? So you got awareness right before they bought, now they're aware, but they're not talking about you, and you didn't do anything else to reach people who've never even been in the stores you're in or never heard of you. You've done little to nothing in terms of marketing outside the store. So the top of the funnel marketing is what some people call this. Fine. Brand marketing is another one. But you don't want to start suddenly investing in consumer marketing when you're at 100 and 150 million in ARR after years of building an organization that does not value it and which may have honestly mocked other brands who do value it. Look in the mirror. Looky, looksy, looksy, looksy. Here's what happens to a brand like this. Because I've seen it from the inside at a former client who hired me to advise them at the top of the staircase. Like, way too late. And the work was really a workshop on how to stand up aggressive marketing in a company that had cash, but was basically created and operated by ops and sales talent. I mean, let's be honest. And that's who tends to create staircase winners. Unselfconsciously. Okay, so in the case of this brand, which shall not be named, and despite a staircase brand having, even positive EBIT at the top of the staircase, here are things that this kind of brand, in most cases, did not build internally that you need for consumer marketing to actually work. Budget aside. Okay. It probably didn't build social accounts, email, or SMS lists, or honestly any other way of contacting fans en masse, feeding them, reminding them, entertaining them, but more importantly, conducting cheap research with them about why they love thee. The kind of material that can go into ad creative and storytelling. Deep fan understanding of core brand outcomes is another thing that you probably don't understand at a company like this, let alone the attributes driving those outcome perceptions. You may just be projecting BS right onto the business from 10 years ago as the founder. Who knows? You don't because you spent no time talking to your fans and learning about them. Another thing you're missing is a mature marketing team focused mostly on brand awareness building out of the store beyond the shopping experience, as opposed to what you do have is a marketing team entirely focused on creating trade at marketing assets for marketing within the shopper experience, because some finance guy told you that out-of-store marketing is and if you're not marketing right before the sale, you're dumb. And here's another thing you're missing. An internal cultural focus on the end consumer and their real-world enjoyment of the brand that you have probably created and built. And that leads to another thing you're missing, is a robust dynamic external focus that allows the company to function as a living, breathing brand in a highly online world, because you're not paying any attention to the outside. You're just focused on your retail account sequencing. And finally, the thing that I guarantee that a staircase brand is missing in 90% of cases is a true internal cultural focus on the consumer. And that's the hardest thing to generate out of thin air after years and years of operating purely as a B2B retail customer focus sales operation. And that's what most staircase brands are functioning as by the time they get to the top of the staircase. Now, I've never seen any company, including the one I worked with, actually figure this out quickly enough to halt the velocity decline through marketing. You can't actually just create this capability in 2 months. Instead, these brands usually lose distribution as the velocity slips, and they contract to stores where the sell-through is fundamentally more stable and productive, right? So the brand doesn't die, but it contracts and doesn't go anywhere. Now, if you were an investor, you'd not be happy because you now got all excited about continued growth in the 9 figures, but now you're an 8-figure brand again. This leads to tense board meetings in which I don't participate and never will. Thank you. Staircase brands don't die, in my purview, especially in this premium end of the world, because it's amazing how a tiny niche will keep you alive, even though you are underperforming as a CPG business. They just like your stuff. But these staircase brands generally hit an early growth ceiling. It could be in the late 9 figures, it could be 150 million, but they will hit a growth ceiling, I swear to God, every single time. Because the internal culture is not focused on engaging the external world to build awareness. And that external world is the thing full of all the new consumers you need. It's a really elementary problem that you've ignored for years as a staircase brand. Now, these kinds of brands also attract very, very weak marketing talent. Basic talent, so to speak. And that means that a further delay is introduced, as you have to usually remove the head of marketing if you want to change things really fast. Because you've probably attracted somebody who likes the comfortable bosom of trade marketing and the ability to point directly to unit velocity lift, which is a great way to save your job. Okay, so you have to now find someone who's risk prone. And they're actually pretty rare in marketing. I've never seen a function that needs to be risk prone to succeed and generate a return full of mostly risk averse people. I mean, they may be creative, artsy, whatever, but then you poke and they're risk averse. That's all I got, folks, for this time. So remember, if you're staircasing your way to growth, time to step back and think about how we get a more rounded playbook, because you're going to need it. You either need it right now or you're going to need it eventually, and you need to get prepared now to turn on the consumer marketing afterburners. All right, folks, please hit subscribe on the lower right of your YouTube window and be an organic subscriber to a Mazza channel here on YouTube. And be first to see new episodes as they drop. And all my other founder tips content, which is coming out every month. And maybe faster if I can get some help. Oh dear. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Remember, Dr. Richardson has loads of resources for founders at premiumgrowthsolutions.com.